Re-Envision Wholeness aims to, it advocates for holistic wellness, and we envision the prosperity of the soul. So during 2023, what I've been trying to get is how people define wholeness, or what does wholeness look like for them at the moment. And this is the question I want to pose to you now, is what does wholeness currently look like for you?
You know, you sent me these questions, and that was the one question where I was stuck on, like, oh my gosh, what does wholeness look like to me? Do I even experience moments of wholesomeness? Because, and I've been thinking about it from the drive home till here, like, what does it look like for me currently, and how do I define it? And I don't know that I often experience moments of wholesomeness. I think. But if I have to speak currently, what it looks like for me is rediscovering my interests and re-tapping into those interests. Because, you know, we work so much, everything is a hustle, it's hustle culture.
Sure.
I don't think that I've been intentional about just rediscovering my interests and actively tapping into that.
Hey guys, it's our final interview of 2023, and our guest is Noemi Muya. Noemi is a Congolese-born South African, devoted Christian, and the founder of a Women in Law. She holds a BA Law, LLB, and is a candidate for a LLM in banking law. She recently got admitted, congratulations, and is currently an associate in property law and conveyancing. Welcome, Naomi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to finally have you. I've been following for Women in Law for quite some time, and it's a brilliant platform by a young woman that a lot of young other women just subscribe to. So tell us a bit about yourself, where you are from, where you were raised, and all of those nice details about you.
Hi, Kansani. Thank you so much for having me. I've been following you myself as well, and I love your platform. I love what you're about. So I'm Noemi Muya. I was born in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. I moved to South Africa when I was 9 with my entire family. My dad, started working this side, and I've been here ever since. And I'm the firstborn of 3 girls. So I guess I was born a leader. I'm kidding. But I'm the firstborn of 3 girls. I've been living in Pretoria almost all my life now since I've moved to South Africa. I completed my BA Law degree at the Northwest University, LLB degree through UNISA, and I'm currently doing my master's to the University of Pretoria. Nice. And that's just a little bit about me, and I own For Women in Law, the platform.
Yes, so she's the founder of For Women in Law. I hope you guys follow the page on Instagram and LinkedIn, and actually go to the website. Naomi has spoken to a variety of women in the legal fraternity, and she's conducted those interviews, and they're absolutely amazing. And you have a mentorship program through For Women in Law.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
But before I speak on behalf of her and For Women in Law, I just wanted to find out what inspired you to start the platform.
Right. So various factors inspired me to start the platform, but initially what really brought it to life when I completed my BA Law degree and then moved to UNISA. So I was working and studying, but I found the studying experience a bit lonely compared to where I had been, as a full-time student and interacting with students and so on. So I thought I'm just going to document my life, my experience as a law student through UNISA. In a way, that was my attempt of trying to meet other law students rather. And that's how I started. I would just blog, about my day, my experiences, and I would come across other women in law, and I thought, hey, I would like to know about their experience. I would love for them to, also give me their experience. And so I thought one way to do that would be to interview them, and through a questions I would post to them on written word. And that's how it grew as a platform. It was it became a platform for interviews for women in law, and then it just it's been 5 years now, and it's been growing ever since. Now we specifically focus on the interviews, legal education, career guidance, as well as mentorship, which is something I'm very passionate about.
Well done, Naomi. It's beautiful. In terms of the mentorship program, how does that work? So if I were to as a law student, want to be mentored through a platform, how would I go about that?
Right. So the mentorship program, it started during COVID initially, and it was online. I remember the first year, I think it's been 3 years now. The first year we had 100 and something mentees. And right, but because it was online, it was easier to have 100 mentees. So what I did was I brought in some of my contacts who are already women in law, already kind of settled in their career, to assist me in mentoring the students. So we had about 15 mentors and 100 plus mentees, and we would then divide the mentees amongst ourselves. When COVID ended and I wanted to make it, an offline program, I wanted to actually meet and have a personal relationship with my mentees. That meant I had to then kind of reduce the numbers. So how it works now, we have a 6-month mentorship program every year. Okay. So I take in about 10 to 15 mentees. I'm the main mentor, and then I invite other women in law to mentor as guest mentors in every session. So how does one become a mentee for women in law? So not every year, but so in the beginning of the year and in July, I release the applications. So I let the public know that applications are open. So you send your application via email, and I let you know of the criteria and so on. So our next application opening will be now in December, where we will let the public know that applications are open, and we will let them know on what the criteria is to become a mentee.
Awesome. I will share that information as well on my platforms. It's very important for you guys to get mentorship, but before somebody gets into mentorship, they need to understand the value of mentorship.
Right.
So what is it and why is it important?
So for me, mentorship is about the process of mentorship is about having a mentor, somebody who helps and guides someone else. So somebody who is in a position where they have more experience and more knowledge, whether it's professionally or just in a personal kind of life. So that's what mentorship means to me. And it's about sharing your wisdom and passing the baton. Why it's important? For various reasons. I think it motivates you. It encourages you and enables you as a mentee. And apart from enabling you in terms of your personal or professional development, what a mentor can sometimes do is they can vouch for you in a room where there's an opportunity they feel you will be best suited for. So I would say mentorship also opens doors for you. I can vouch for that. I've had my mentors open doors for me. So yeah, that's the importance.
Awesome. I like the fact that you say it motivates you and encourages you. So in law, during your articles, you almost always want to give up.
Yes.
And then you see somebody before you who does it, and you start to believe that you can too. And they slowly give you advice. They give you advice and you think, okay, I can do it. And you remember what the goal is. They help you with your vision as well. Who do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? How far do you want to go? What are the limits? Are there limits? Those are the kind of questions that you get answered through mentorship. As a woman in law yourself, what are some of the concerns you have towards the profession? So the legal profession specifically.
Right. So this is a concern I've had since I think 5 years ago when I started the platform, because I spoke about it on the platform. I think so there are more women in law, more female lawyers around, not just South Africa, around the world, but high level positions are still held very much by men, white men. And I think that is a problem. It is concerning that there's more of us, but there isn't a lot of us who are occupying those high positions, those leadership positions. I think that is a concern. It's been a concern for a long time now. That's why I think mentorship is important. I think, yes, I'm not saying we aren't there. There are, a number of women who are up there, but there needs to be more of us. And how do we fix that problem is by mentoring youngest junior lawyers, because I think you mentioned a few minutes ago that mentorship is about seeing someone who's doing something that you want to do and then being guided by them. When I see another woman or another black woman occupying those positions, it inspires me and it makes me believe that I can occupy those positions as well. So that I think also ties to the importance of mentorship.
Awesome. So the follow-up question to that is, so there are these concerns. Who do you think must address them? Is it women? Is it men? Is it us as a collective?
Us as a collective, definitely, because we can't address these problems without our allies, the men. You know what I'm saying? Like we need allies in the men who already occupying those spaces to be like, I want my sister to also occupy these spaces. So the movement itself for women in law, it's not my intention to exclude men. I want to bring men into the conversation. I want to bring men into understanding what our concerns are. So it's not a movement that says women only. It's a movement that says we want to advance the interests of women too. Yeah.
So good, so good. I think it reminds me of how it's always spoken about that in the legislature, for example, if you have majority men who's speaking for the women, who in society are actually the majority, and the men do not know the kind of things that we face. So when they make the legislation, who informs them?
Right.
Or if they sit in the highest seat of the judiciary and they make decisions, do they take into account what women actually go through? And if you don't have the voices of women, then it means that you have a society that is more fixated on resolving issues or addressing issues from the lens of a male perspective.
Absolutely.
Without taking into account women. And when we speak of women, now we must speak of children too, because the responsibility of children mainly rests with women.
Well said. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you. So it's a collective effort. I really agree that it is a collective effort. If we have males who allow us to be in property, in the field of property, nuclear energy, aviation, where when you look at the work, it just looks so technical that you think, women are more relegated to more like divorce law, insurance law, but we do need the women so that we can have the views of all humanity, be represented in those spaces. Awesome. So you're an associate in property law and conveyancing. And so I get a lot of students who ask, how did you get into this field? Like, how did you get into environmental law? And I'm just like, I don't know how to answer that, because I just simply applied to the firms that...
And they happen to be in environment,
that do that kind of work. So I'm going to ask you this question and see if maybe you have a different answer. If a student were to ask you how you got into the specific field of law, what would your response be?
I mean, I agree with what you said. I don't think I chose to be within this property field. I think there are a lot of us law graduates, right? And we don't always have, I don't know about the other professions, but we don't always have the luxury of choosing where you want to land. You're just looking for articles and you're hoping to land articles. And for me, that was the case. So what happened, so because I was studying through UNISA for my LLB, I was also working at a law firm that did mainly property law related work and conveyancing. So I was working and I was studying and working there. And so when I completed my LLB and it was time to apply for articles, obviously my CV would speak of my experience within the property law, within conveyancing. And that's how I landed at the firm that I'm currently in, because they were interested in somebody who has either shown interest or experience in property law and conveyancing. And that's the rest is history. So I wouldn't say I was intentional about choosing a firm that did property law. No, it chose me. It chose me. I do want to also add that if you have a specific interest, it is possible to find yourself in that specific field. It might not happen as a candidate attorney. It could happen when you're an associate. It could happen when you're a senior associate. So don't let this discourage you. You can absolutely land in a firm that matches your interest.
So good.
Yeah.
I sat down with Pete Nguna, and you guys must go and watch that video. And she said, "Law will find you."
Right.
Law will find you. Yeah. And it's interesting for me because excuse me, I started in planning development in Viro, and now I am in-house for a telecoms company. And I'm just wondering how you can always go into different, you can always grow. And now I'm just thinking, how much more, what is out there, you know? Speaking of nuclear energy, is it possible for me to get into that? Is it possible for me to go into mining?
Absolutely.
You know? So those are the kind of things I'm considering, because you see that nothing really stops you, and there's a time when law will absolutely find you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, so practice has probably built your character, and I want to find out from you, what are some of the lessons you've learned that you think are valuable from practice?
Sure, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. It's been demanding. It's also been rewarding. But if I had to think of one out of the many valuable lessons that I've learned throughout my journey, it would be to take up space.
Okay.
Right? To not let my imposter syndrome, and I think a lot of us women especially suffer from imposter syndrome. I think the biggest lesson I'm still learning even now is, because sometimes imposter syndrome just like kind of, it just sneaks up on you, is to take up space and to not let the imposter syndrome distract me from what I've already achieved and what I'm still to achieve. And mind you, I'm a very confident person 75% of the time, but sometimes at 25% I'm less confident. So what I'm learning is, even in my less confident state, to still take up space, to still speak up, because honestly, navigating the corporate world or the legal field as a black woman is not always a pleasing experience. And a lot of the times, the respect isn't given to you freely. You have to demand it, and sometimes in demanding it, you have to be about it, and I'm learning to be okay with that. Yeah. So valuable lesson: take up space, speak up, even when you feel the imposter syndrome creeping in. Still take up space. You are capable and you belong.
So good. I think just to add on to that, I like the fact that you say you can demand respect, but I also want to remind students and people who are just starting in their career that you earn respect also.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Through the work you produce and your and how, if you actually bring value into the workspace. So sometimes we are rushing towards demanding without actually earning. And
I think where I was coming from is, as a CA, obviously you earn that. You earn that by the caliber of the work you're bringing in, you earn the respect. I think where I was coming from is, as an associate now, I still find myself in positions where, I show up looking the part, I show up with confidence, but there is still an undermining that happens in boardrooms, in events. If I'm walking in with my white male candidate attorney, it's always assumed that he's the attorney and I'm the candidate attorney. Just yesterday I was in an event, and the first assumption that was made was whether I was part of the supporting staff. So that's where I was coming from. There is still a lot of undermining that happens, and in that undermining, that's when you have to demand the respect. But so absolutely, when you're still starting up, the respect is you earn it.
Yeah,
is earned.
So good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarity.
Okay.
And then what's your perception of excellence?
I think excellence for me, how I interpret excellence is when I show up doing my absolute best, when I put my best foot forward. And however, even though my intention is to always show up in excellence, is to always do the best that I can, as I've gotten older, I've learned to extend as much grace to myself as I can. Because there are days, okay, so I'm working, I'm studying, and I'm running this platform. There are days when even my absolute best doesn't meet the expectations I have for myself or that others have for me. And in those days, I'm learning to beat myself up less and to just extend grace. It's just another day, another week. I will try again tomorrow. I'll try again next week. But excellence for me would mean to do my absolute best. Yeah.
So good. I love it. I love the grace element of it because high achievers tend to
be very hard on themselves.
Yes, and life happens all the time. You know, you work under pressure, you're stressed, you're running a platform. Sometimes you cannot show up the way you want to show up.
And in every area.
And in every area. And that's where the element of rest comes in. Why it's so important to reflect, to refresh so that you can continue to show up as best as you can. Finally, because we Re-Envision Wholeness aims to, it advocates for holistic wellness, and we envision the prosperity of the soul. So during 2023, what I've been trying to get is how people define wholeness, or what does wholeness look like for them at the moment. And this is the question I want to pose to you now, is what does wholeness currently look like for you?
You know, you sent me these questions, and that was the one question where I was stuck on, like, oh my gosh, what does wholeness look like to me? Do I even experience moments of wholesomeness? Because, and I've been thinking about it from the drive home till here, like, what does it look like for me currently, and how do I define it? And I don't know that I often experience moments of wholesomeness. I think. But if I have to speak currently, what it looks like for me is rediscovering my interests and re-tapping into those interests. Because, you know, we work so much, everything is a hustle, it's hustle culture.
Sure.
I don't think that I've been intentional about just rediscovering my interests and actively tapping into that. Like, I love reading, I've always been an avid reader. But even that, I haven't been intentional about just making the time for it. Like I make the time for everything else. There's that. So wholesomeness for me, what it would look like for me in this current state of my life would be rediscovering my interest, but then going a step further in actively making time to tap into that. I'm very planted in my faith. I'm Christian, and I enjoy talking to other women with whom I share the same faith and the same belief. It empowers me that, okay, so I'm not the only one who feels this way, who thinks this way, and I realize I have to actively tap into that by joining those environments where I'm able to chat with those women again, you know, actively doing that. But yeah, I think that's what wholesomeness would look like if I were to be intentional about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. That brings us to the end of our sweet interview with Noemi Muya. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will put in the details or the links to For Women in Law Instagram and LinkedIn. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It is our final one for 2023, and see you in 2024. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cause we be